The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors have the expertise to find exactly what you need and the ethics to do the right thing, even when it's the harder thing. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Introducing the new 3-for-1 bundle from Xfinity. Save big on unlimited internet and streaming when you add Xfinity Mobile. Go to Xfinity.com/3-for-1, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Limited time offer, restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Christine from Storyworthy. Today on the show, actor Willie Garson talks about adopting his son at the age of 7.
And I see this kid. The kids are kind of looking down, kind of glum. They've been to these before. They know what they're doing there. And all the kids online are like kind of sullen. And I look over and there's one kid, there's a curb there. And one kid is walking along the curb balancing with his arms on his sides. Yeah. Not a care in the world. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my kid.
Today on the show, actor Willie Garson talks about the best decision he ever made in his life. Adopting his son. Stay close.
Hey, this is Willie Garson, and you're listening to Storyworthy.
Welcome to Storyworthy. My name is Christine Blackburn, and I'm coming to you from Los Angeles, California. Whether you're a longtime fan of the show of over 9 years, or you're a new listener, welcome to Storyworthy. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed the show last week with Samandra Luna and her story, Trouble in Madrid. Willie, by any chance, did you listen to Samandra Luna?
I did not, but I'm looking forward to it.
This girl is so funny, and she's so talented. She's an actress and a comedian, and she is from Romania.
But she went to Madrid, apparently.
So she goes to Madrid for the summer to lifeguard, like as a 20-something-year-old. You know what I mean? And while she's in Madrid, trouble ensues.
Fantastic.
The good news is, at the end of the summer, she actually did save a life.
Wow.
So it was like...
Actually at work, lifeguarding?
Yeah.
Wow.
She saved a baby.
Wow.
Yeah. So It's crazy. And I'm not giving away the ending of the story, because the story is much more about her dating in Madrid, and she's just a super funny
She didn't
girl.
end up dating that baby. Okay.
She's amazing and super funny. So go back, you guys, listen to some Miranda Luna from last week, but not today. Not today, because I'm here with actor Willie Garson, and he brings forth the topic, adoption. And my sister adopted a child from Russia, actually, years ago. And I remember her stories of the orphanage, you know, and going into this building and seeing these kids and the babies, and they don't get picked up, and they don't get held, and they're all in need.
Right.
So I have no concept how you choose a child. Like I just, it's all so sad. But I do know my sister, like with a child from Russia, she didn't get the child's exact birth date. So she kind of had to just choose one.
Information was like...
Yeah, no medical records. They didn't even know the age of the child. They sort of guessed.
Well, it's like a tree. Like if you cut the leg off, you can see the rings. And count. No, I'm kidding.
Count the rings around the bottom.
Yeah. Then you can count how old the child is.
Anyway, I don't know your adoption story, but I know my sister's child, maybe the luckiest kid in the world. I mean, she hit the jackpot.
I hope my kid is the luckiest kid in the world.
I have a feeling he is, and I saw a picture of your boy. He's so handsome.
He is. I can say that because I had nothing to do with it.
He's so
other than being a good shopper. But
I'm anxious to hear about this from you, because you don't hear a lot of single men.
Correct.
And you're straight. You're
correct.
Not. I guess I only say that because on Sex and the City, you know, you played Carrie Bradshaw's best friend, and you were gay. And,
but on NYPD Blue, no one asked me if I was a murderer. So it's interesting how sexuality is such a touchstone.
Yeah, that's funny. However, I guess because you were just so convincing.
Well, that's the job.
On the Sex and the City. Well, and also you played. God, that role was so fabulous.
Yeah,
6 full seasons
amazing
of Sex
writing.
and the City. The wardrobe did the wardrobe blow your mind?
The wardrobe was unbelievable. It taught me everything because I wasn't that guy.
Yeah.
fashion guy.
Did you get to buy any of the pieces you wore?
The deal was, because every designer on the planet wanted us to wear
Their stuff.
So generally, Stanford's style is not Willie's style.
Yeah.
So if I wore something from them, I could get something from them for me.
Yeah.
So if I wore whoever, Dries Van Noten
Right.
suit on the show, I could get one that Willie would wear.
Okay, so when you got married on the show and that was all white, it was the most memorable
Crazy.
Sex in
Yeah.
the City I can possibly because
Cartier $25,000 tuxedo.
yeah, and also
Silk.
Liza Minnelli was on that.
Of course. Oh yeah, that.
But I guess it
Oh, yeah, Liza Minnelli
so
showed
in that
up.
case, did you keep the white tux or did you get?
No, I did not keep the white tux. Nor did I get a $25,000 suit from
Damn,
Cartier.
I was
for
just
that.
thinking maybe. But anyway, that show, I mean, obviously, it will never stop running. Though it's always on television somewhere.
It's like I Love Lucy.
It is like I Love Lucy, but the thing is, it holds up.
Yes, of course.
It
The
totally holds
the
up.
writing was flawless.
Impeccable.
I mean, really funny.
Yeah.
I think styles will change, relevance will change, but the writing at the heart of it was about love, and that will never not be there.
I swear
and that's
to
what the
God,
show is about.
I
So,
believe that. I think
Yeah.
that it was about love. It was about acceptance, and it was about relationships.
people didn't know what they were responding to, like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so outlandish, or that's really funny, or that's really sexy, or whatever. But the reality is, the base of it all, it was just about love, finding love, holding on to love, what you care about, looking for love.
Yeah.
It's just love.
And
That's all it was.
I don't know. I just love Sarah Jessica Parker so much. Like she's such a wonderful guiding light, I think, for women.
Yes.
And I know she grew up in Ohio and she had many, many siblings. And, she got that young break on Broadway with
Yep.
Annie and all that stuff. So it was like,
I saw her in Annie
Get outta
when I was
here.
13.
get out of here.
I didn't know her until we were like 16 or 17.
Really?
But I didn't know her. But I saw it. My parents took me to see Annie, and it just so happened that it was Sarah Jessica.
Wow.
Which is funny. Then
Do you
we'd
remember-
and then we'd have a life together after that.
Do you
just by
remember her
coincidence.
making an impression on you in that show?
I just remember how great Annie was.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, she's just a stunning person.
I took my kid. His first Broadway show. He
No
saw it with
kidding.
me. He saw a show with my mother. He saw Lion King. But I took him to New York, and we saw Annie.
Yeah.
And watching Annie sitting next to my adopted child
Yeah.
with the, famous, to him, very wealthy, bald father. His eyes were saucers. Annie was his story.
That
and
is
him watching
so
that, it was
beautiful.
insane.
That is so
I'll never have
beautiful.
that. You can't create those perfect moments ever
Yeah.
again, but it was just a perfect confluence of things in one situation, sitting there in a Broadway theater watching Annie, watching someone be exposed to Annie.
Yeah.
Amazing.
We're going to talk about the adoption in a second, but you've had him for about 10 years?
Yeah.
And so, did you ever shoot him with VHS tapes or like DV cams or any of those old mediums?
No, because I'm technologically challenged.
No, but now with a
But
smartphone, we can do that.
Yeah, and
automatically.
I had some, and I had some from my family.
Yeah.
And I digitized them. It's a
Well,
great thing to be able to do.
It is, and that's what I was getting to. I have this sponsor right now called Scan Digital, and they will convert your VHS tapes, old films, slides, photos.
It's a great thing.
It's perfect for the holidays.
I did it with all our stuff for my brother and sister for the holidays.
That
with all the stuff from my mother's house. I did it.
Is so kind.
Yeah.
Scan Digital, they recently sent me my stuff back, and I had these tapes of my daughter, from when she was born until she's about maybe 6 or 7. And they sent me these videos back that I haven't looked at because I don't have the machines anymore.
Of course.
You know what I
Of
mean?
course.
So they send them back and everything's digitized. And I'm looking on the computer now and I'm just like weeping, crying.
And
It's
you get to use it and enjoy it rather
Yeah.
than just sitting in a box as it was at my mother's house for 50 years.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And here's the thing: Scan Digital, they'll actually they'll take photos out of the album, scan them, put them back in the album for you. Like they do all the work, which
That's
is
awesome.
very exciting. So you guys don't let your memories fade away. Send all those old tapes and photographs off to Scan Digital, and you'll receive everything back, all your originals and the newly digitized copies, within 3 weeks. Check it out, you guys. Join 500,000 satisfied customers and go to scandigital.com/storyworthy for 50% off.
50%?
That's a big deal.
That is I mean,
I know.
It's half.
It is half.
I'm not a math major, but that's
This is their best offer ever, you guys. But hurry, because it does end soon. So go to scandigital.com/storyworthy and get your memories back in digital form to share with your loved ones over the holidays.
amazing.
Again, get 50% off at scandigital.com/storyworthy, and you will be a hero. Listen, you guys, before we get to Willie's story, I wanted to remind you to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Storyworthy. Now, you're a good Twitter person, Willie.
Well, I'm in the current
Political climate.
In the current climate,
you can't avoid.
I'm an angry Twitter person, which is I really try to curb myself, but I get so frustrated that and then I'm like, I have to stop tweeting because I'm as bad as him. And now it's just so frustrating.
I know. However, I feel like since Trump chose Twitter as his platform, he's the one that chose it, right?
Right.
I feel like we should all meet him there.
Yep.
And go after him the only way we know how, which is with their
voices. There is the issue of preaching to the choir, who follows me and who sees my tweets. Well, people who probably agree with me.
I hear what you're saying, but I still think we have to do what we can in our power to at least call out.
I do believe in using your voice, and I've been, really lucky that I have one, that there are a number of people who are interested in what I have to say. So I do use it, but it's grown out of frustration than anything else.
Yeah.
It's so bad that the concept that's going on right now is so bad of just getting rid of any rule of constitution,
It's terrifying. Our
terrifying.
Our democracy could end.
And I'm more concerned that he's whatever. He's a freak and a horrible person. But the concept of that anyone believes in that,
right?
I'm more concerned about the people who support him.
So am I. The
followers of him.
Right. So am I. Why would they possibly think any of this is okay?
I don't know why. I really don't know why. So which makes you question, am I just wrong?
When you think about how many people, on one side, say this, so there's generals and there's colonels and there's, just incredibly bright people, and they're all saying one thing. And then Trump says, but I got Giuliani, or, it's like...
Right, or they turn it around into something that was not the issue. I mean, what we're going through right now, they're only talking about problems with the procedures of impeachment, as opposed to, why? And I don't understand why an elected official would not be more interested in the facts and protecting the Constitution that they swore to protect. Why? Who are they? What are they protecting?
Yeah,
we're protecting someone who isn't protecting the Constitution.
We're living through really precarious times.
Yeah.
And like my daughter, I tell her all the time, this is not normal. This is not the way it should be. And I tell her often that her generation, I think, is gonna help out tremendously.
Well, they have to. Smarter. They have to save us. They have to save us.
And what do you tell your son?
Well, I mean, he knows that I'm very active, and he knows that I'm always cranky the past couple of years. And it was interesting, on fall break, coming back from college, he made a couple of comments that were like, oh, he's starting to see. He's starting to become, because to them, a lot of it is air.
Yeah.
It's just noise.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, Trump, he's starting to say things that he knows. He knows what's up. He knows it's hard. I credit the girlfriend.
Yeah. Because
the women are much smarter. So
really?
I credit,
you think so?
Absolutely.
You credit his girlfriend?
I credit the girlfriend for probably reading something or seeing something on TV and saying something about it. So now he's catching up.
A lot of times people think like, well, I don't deal with politics, and it's not going to change my day-to-day life no matter what. No matter who's president, my life isn't changing.
Which is a total scam that they're telling themselves. I mean, I know I have a lot of people, and even in my family, who are like, just don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's easier. I'm not saying like to be a crazed activist, but I don't understand how you cannot pay attention to it.
Right.
It's real.
Well, and also I always take it back to the Holocaust. Who were those followers? Yep. Who was saying this is okay?
Well, I mean, we get in trouble when we compare it, but it's exactly.
I know.
It's exactly. And then all of a sudden, one day we turned around and we were living in Nazi-occupied Berlin.
Right.
Like
it just happened.
Yeah. And, it's a slippery slope. And, the big, I'm Jewish, but the big saying is, never forget, never forget. Well, we don't have to forget because it's right here. Yeah. It's happening right now.
Yeah. The whole rise of Hitler didn't happen overnight. It took a period of time. Here we are.
Him talking about Adam Schiff today was so pointedly insane.
It's vile.
Like, obviously this person he's saying about Adam Schiff that he's evil, insane. Look at him. He obviously grew up with a lot of problems because of what he looks like. He said, by the way, the subtext is Jewish, Democrat, respected, based in fact. So all the subtext is, we hate all that. You and me, my follower, we hate that. I'm telling you to hate that.
Yeah.
So now spread that hate. Spread it to your family. Spread it at work. Because you and I are going to take on that. And it's horrifying.
It has been a really trying time, but I think you're keeping up the good fight on Twitter, as I am as well.
I'm trying.
Yeah. Follow Willie over there on Twitter at Willie Garson. You should do that.
Generally, my Instagram is more friendly.
Yeah.
Like my Instagram is like more promotion or like putting up a funny picture or whatever.
Sure.
And Twitter, I go in with all good intentions. Like, I'm just going to post something about a dog or something, and then I read something. I'm like,
because words are powerful.
Yeah.
And also Twitter is so good for news. You know, just to really keep up minute to minute what's happening. And the
on
news
both
cycle
sides, actually.
Changes so quick.
On both sides, you can read the news.
Yeah, for sure. All right, you guys, Willie is here right now. I'm so excited to hear your story. I've been talking here with Willie Garson. If you don't know this, I know you know this. Willie's an actor. Yes, we know this.
Not a good one.
You are a great actor. You've appeared in over 75 films, over 300 television episodes. I mean, are you more comfortable like in a makeup chair than a recliner at home?
I'm definitely more comfortable on set. I like to know what I'm doing that day. I like to be told where to go.
Yeah.
I like to be on a schedule, but I don't want to have to make it up myself.
What do you do in the downtime when you're shooting? What do you do?
While I'm at work?
Yeah, do you read, tweet?
A lot of crossword puzzles. I love crossword puzzles. I love to talk. The family of a crew is so great.
You get to know everybody so quickly, right?
Yeah, it's great because you all have a common language. I mean, it's without the horror of war. I think it's how soldiers felt in their units.
It's bonding.
It's really
you're all
bonding.
there for the same purpose.
And you're all there for a common goal to make it as good as possible.
And to get it done.
Get it done, but get it done well. I mean, there's nothing better than, we're getting all the accolades and the money and whatever. But there's nothing better than a film crew. There's nothing better. No better people.
Yeah.
It's an amazing passion that is needed to want to tell stories and not be so insecure like an actor that you need the attention.
Yeah.
It's like you really in your bones want to do anything you can to help tell that story.
Yeah.
And that's the focus puller, the clapper, the craft service guy. I mean, they're all there in service to tell a story.
Yeah, and for that art, exactly. And
Yeah.
boy, have you told a lot of stories.
I have told a lot of
Willie.
stories.
You must be very professional at your job because you keep getting hired over and over and over. You, of course, were in the USA Network series White Collar from 2009 to 2014. That's a great series, man.
I loved it.
That was a really good
It was the
series.
closest I played to myself.
Mozzie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I got to write a lot.
Yeah.
I started directing.
Did you
there.
direct any of those episodes?
I did.
No kidding.
I did. And it wasn't to launch my amazing career as a director. It was because I was going to direct a better episode.
Yeah.
And they let me, and they trained me really well.
Wow, that was exciting.
You know, and now I'm working on a movie to try to direct, and it's a long walk to try and direct a movie. It's really hard.
Who wrote it?
A guy named Charles Everett, and it's a terrific script.
Is it a comedy?
It is until it isn't. That's how I don't like the word dramedy because it's an acronym and I hate that kind of stuff. But it's very funny and then it's not.
Well, you've done a lot of like police kind of shows like NYPD
Yes.
Blue. You were in CSI Crime Scene Investigation.
Sure.
You did CSI Miami.
Sure.
But it does seem like you've done more comedy. I mean, all the way back.
I mean, people really like when they find someone who can actually be funny.
Yeah.
For funny actors, which I guess I'm considered one, of course, all I want to do is drama.
Yeah.
So it's like, the grass is always greener. But, there's a place for humor. I do always wonder on some of these shows because our audience has gotten so specific. Like some drama shows, and nothing is ever funny.
Yeah.
And that's not life.
That's not the way it is.
It's not life.
And there has
Even
to be
two murderers out
Yeah.
committing a murder. One of them's going to say something that
like The Sopranos.
make a joke to the other guy.
Yeah, there's always going to be humor.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So it's always very odd to me that I just like things to be real. There is the classic sitcom idea where people just cracking jokes all the time, which is
Right.
also kind of ridiculous if you think
Sure.
about it too. So. Come.
But you've done. You were on Hawaii Five-0
I
as
do that
Jared
now.
Hirsch, right?
I do that now.
And how often do you have to go to Hawaii?
Whenever they call.
And
So
how,
some seasons I do 6 episodes. This season I'm only booked for 1 so far, so I have no idea.
So does the crew, of course, lives over there in Honolulu?
They do. It's a long commute if they didn't.
But I'm just saying. So the cast, most of the cast must live there too.
Most
at
of the
least
cast
for a
lives
period of
there
time.
in season.
In season.
Some of them live there all year round.
All year round.
Because they have kids. Their kids are in school
Yeah.
and all that.
That would
And-
be
and some-
a heck of a
And
lifestyle
some commute.
choice.
Some
Yeah.
even commute. Some of the
Yeah.
regulars commute. Actually.
Yeah, I would imagine that would be, especially if you did move your whole family to
Yep.
Hawaii. It's so isolated.
It's weird. My sister lived there for 17 years in Hawaii,
Wow.
so I know
Did she?
Hawaii well.
Yeah.
But it is an island. You definitely get
That fever, that
yeah,
island
it's like
fever.
it's a real thing. You're
Especially
on,
Oahu seems like a tremendous amount of traffic on Honolulu.
yeah,
near
it's
the,
almost like Honolulu has gotten to be like it's almost like being in Detroit. Like it's this big like urban city on this in the middle of absolute paradise.
Right.
Literally like 3,000 miles from anything else in the
Anything.
middle of an ocean.
Yeah.
So it's really weird, with pollution and cars and stores and anything
I love
you want to
Hawaii.
eat.
I really do.
It's an amazing thing.
I feel like when you go to Hawaii, like once you go up to your home, you go up to your room, you drop off your stuff, and then you pretty much don't put shoes on again or pants.
No,
for
it's great, and
the whole week.
The glory of it, like many places that I like, is the people. The
Yeah.
people are amazing.
Super
They
friendly.
live a certain way, and they are very welcoming. They know 90% of the people are guests,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just the people are just warm and friendly with deep traditions and soul, and apparently because of Hawaii Five-0, apparently there's a lot of crime. So that there's many, it's like Cabot Cove, Maine, where people are getting murdered every week. but I really do. I'm not doing one again for a month. I go in a month.
Oh, that's exciting. Have you been able to take your son with you?
I have, of course.
Yeah.
I even threw him in the background of a scene.
Did you really?
Because he was so bored. I said to the director, let's just throw him back there.
That's adorable. Did he like it?
Well, it's very funny because, like, if you get a job as an atmosphere player, as an extra, there's certain things that go along with that. You have to like dress a certain way. It's generally muted colors.
Sure.
So basically, the idea is like you're not
stay in the background.
You're not like dragging focus away from the scene. And you've seen hundreds of movies and TV shows where you're like, what the hell is that guy doing back there? Extras, I know. So my son was there, and he was wearing shorts, which is no one else was wearing shorts. He was wearing a bright red T-shirt, and he had on mirrored sunglasses on. And I said, well, what if what if he's just walking right behind us? He's a college kid in the Hawaii airport. And they're like, yeah, sure. So we go, and then we saw it on the air, and Nathan, my son, is looking at it. He's like, okay, who the hell is that guy standing in the background? Like, it's so over the top obvious. It was very funny.
That is super funny. Did he find it tedious, the whole process? Because it seems glamorous from somebody outside.
He's pretty good at being on set. He's been on enough sets with me. He did a scene in White Collar. I wrote him a scene, and he was great. Got in the union and all that.
Oh, great.
And I put him on the background, too, in Girl Meets World, an episode I directed over there.
So great. I'm just going to run down some of these television shows.
And then I do, currently I do Hawaii Five-0, and I do Supergirl.
And
so those are the shows I do.
And let me just run down some of these sitcoms you've been on, because it really is quite impressive.
It's television history.
Well, it's super interesting. All the way back to Spin City and Wizards of Waverly Place and Friends. You were on Friends. And Cheers and Yes, Dear.
And Family Ties.
Family Ties and The X-Files and Star Trek Voyager and Ally McBeal, Coach. My Two Dads, Mr. Belvedere, Quantum Leap. So, did you have to audition for every one of these roles, or do sometimes they just know you and they put you in?
Back in the day, you did have to audition. You got to remember, with all the streaming and all the outlets now for television, there's actually less jobs now. There used to be a lot more jobs.
That doesn't sound
correct. It doesn't sound like it makes sense, but it does, because what used to be, there would be the shows that were on television, and they used to have 6 or 7 guests every episode. Now, many shows are lucky if there's one.
Interesting.
To save money, because we're in a different economy now.
Interesting.
So what you would do is you get a job on some show for the next week, and then on Wednesday, usually Wednesday was the day when they were casting guests for shows for the following week.
Yeah.
So you'd get out of work
then you go
on
over
Wednesday,
and
and you'd go to have auditions until you got one. And then that's where you'd be working the next week.
Yeah.
Now I've been very lucky in that a lot of shows that I've done, they're really kind and want to use me again.
Yeah.
So then obviously you don't audition for that.
Yeah, that's
it's the same
nice.
character.
That's nice.
And now I'd say for the past since NYPD Blue, a lot of the episodes are offers. But
that's exciting.
I'm always happy to read.
Yeah.
I love to read. Sometimes I've shown up for jobs and felt I wasn't actually right for the part.
But you didn't say anything.
But it was the offer, and I'm going to do my best.
You've also appeared in a couple of movies, like Kingpin, and I will tell you, my father was in Kingpin.
Oh my God!
My father played an extra in Kingpin. He was at the end when all the Amish people are dancing on the hillside. Jack Blackburn.
Does your father live in Pennsylvania?
Jack Blackburn, yeah, outside of Pittsburgh.
Amazing.
And he was in he was in a ton of movies that they shot in Pittsburgh, and he also played a lot of stand-ins.
Was he in that movie with Sarah Jessica and
yes.
Bruce Willis?
Yeah, and I was too. Actually, it was called Three Rivers.
Three Rivers.
They changed the name a couple of times. You were also in.
I do. So I do most of the Farrelly Brothers movies. So
Yes,
that was
there's something about Mary and Fever Pitch.
Yeah. And of course, they skipped me on Pete. Skipped me on Green Book, the one that wins the Oscar. I only get to do the other ones.
I talked to Don Stark recently, and he got to be in Green Book, which is very exciting.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yes, he was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was
love
exciting.
Don Stark.
Me too.
What a good.
He's a good man.
Good Midwesterner.
And he also has quite a career in terms of the numbers of
Just
shows
length.
that he's been in. It's
Well,
really
just because we're
stunning.
old.
It's not that.
It is.
First of all, you're like 2 years older than me at the most.
Listen, I'm elderly. I'm actually 79. I just have had a lot of work.
You were also in Groundhog Day.
I was.
Being John Malkovich.
Yes.
Freaky Friday, the one with Jamie Lee Curtis. I love that one.
Not the original one.
Not the original from the 60s.
Thanks
well, I don't
a
know.
lot.
You could have been super young.
Yeah.
Then you made a cameo in Jackass 2.
I did. So the director, Jeff, and Knoxville lived on both sides of me in Beechwood here in Los Angeles.
How funny is that?
When they started doing the show. So most of the first season of the show was basically shot
On your
my
street.
house. At my house. And so I'm very close to those guys and to
Oh,
Spike.
that's cool.
That's how I'm in Malkovich as well, because I'm
Yeah.
very close with Spike as well.
That's great.
And so he called me one day, and they were shooting some footage, and he's like, "We have an idea for a stunt. Come over right now." I didn't even ask what it was. We drove over, and we did it, and it was horrifying. And
What was the stunt?
the stunt was hot potato, playing hot potato with a stun gun taser taped on position. Yes.
my
And I'm the only one who caught it, by the way. Those guys were wimpy about it, and I actually caught it, and I can
By the handle.
Right now as I'm saying it, I know I am having a sense memory of exactly what it felt like.
Wait. Did you grab the handle or did you
I
hit
grabbed the
stunt?
taser, sorry,
Oh my
900
God.
volts.
Oh my God. Did you fall to your knees?
I threw it on the ground
Oh
and
my
started
God.
screaming.
Yeah, and they got it
But
all
the
on
others were
tape.
not, no one caught it. I was the only one who caught it. So I'm that tough.
Well, I think you should put that under your special skills.
Yeah, taser catcher.
Taser catcher.
Yeah, when I go to the circus.
You guys, you can find Willie over there on Twitter, like we talked about, at Willie Garson.
Yes.
All right, you
Instagram
guys.
is willie.garson for some reason.
Garson.
I don't know
Interesting. All right, you guys, wherever you are, put your hands together for Willie Garson.
why. Yay. Okay, well, I had been looking for a child for a while, and I was very specific. Every child, at least in California, every child is a foster child until the judge bangs the gavel. So I was very specific with my social worker that you're not going to place a kid with me for 5 seconds if you're going to take it away.
Oh, God.
So she's like, well, that's doable, but it might take longer time.
But wait, why is that?
Well, because the goal always is to reunite with birth family.
Oh, I see.
So just things happen. A missing parent shows up and says, "I want my child." They have to do it. Wow. A lot of things can happen, or the kid has issues and ends up not being adoptable or whatever. So I said, okay, I can wait. And time was going on. I had originally said like 3 to 5 years old. Mm-hmm. I thought that'll be good. Got a year or so before school starts, really bonding, and that'll be great. So nothing was happening. They just were not finding one that they felt comfortable
Were
enough.
they sending you to any of like the adoption? I don't know how you say it, like a fair, or were they?
Well, that's
sending
what they
you
finally
places?
did. So that's what they finally
see.
did. They sent me to a fair, which is horrible. One of the most horrible places I've ever been. You can only go alone because I don't have a partner. So I'm licensed. I can't just bring a friend.
Yeah.
A lot of these kids are basically like kind of on the lam from parents looking for them or bad situations. So they tell you that morning where the fair is. And the fair, I mean, it's a pet fair. It's as bad as you can imagine.
Is it an auditorium or is
It was in a
outside?
park. It was in a park. I think it was in this one was in Pasadena or somewhere in San Gabriel Valley or something, but still LA County. And so I show up and I'm at the parents' sign-in table.
Right.
And I look over and there's the kids' sign-in table. And there's a bunch of kids standing with their social workers. And I see this kid the kids are kind of looking down, kind of glum. They've been to these before.
They know where they're
They
at.
know what it is. Even though they're going to set up some stupid games for them to play, they know what they're doing there.
Yeah.
And all the kids online are like kind of sullen. And I look over and there's one kid, there's a curb there. And one kid is walking along the curb balancing with his arms out to the sides, not a care in the world. And I'm like, oh my God, that's my kid. Like he's totally plugged in. Like he's rising above the room here. So I see him. They give you a clipboard and you're supposed to write down 3 names. All the kids have name tags, and then they have numbers underneath if they have siblings. So I like to keep siblings together. So I only want one, so my choices are more limited.
So is his name is on the tag?
Yes.
And you don't, that's his name. You don't change
That's his name.
his
Just
name.
name first name. Yeah,
Okay.
he's an adult. He's like 7.
And underneath it says 1, meaning
It doesn't say
child.
anything.
It doesn't
So
say
he
anything,
doesn't.
meaning no
So that's
siblings.
fine. So I start stalking him. So I start following him around this fair. They have volunteers. They've toss a ball through a hoop. Whatever. They have all these different games. So I'm following him, and I'm like really nervous, and I'm alone. I see he's finally at this table where they're painting piggy banks, like ceramic piggy banks. I think he was painting a dolphin or a shark or something. And so I come up behind him, and I see he's painting it, and I lean in, and I go to him, "That's really great." And he looks at me like I'm an idiot. And I said, those are really great colors. It was blue and red he was painting.
Sweet.
I said, "Are you going to paint any other colors?" He looks at me like I'm a complete idiot. And he goes, "They don't have any other colors? Like,
wow.
You jackass," basically. And I go, if you mix blue and red, you get purple. And he looks at me like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And so, fine. The woman behind him is a social worker, is standing behind the table. And she sees me. She recognized me. And she said, "Mr. Garson, would you like to know about Nathan?" And I said, "Actually, yeah. What's up with this kid?" She tells me his story. Like, went into the system at like 2.5. He's been in 6 homes. And now they've decided that it's time. They like to kind of get people adopted by like 8.
So if I may ask you, why is he going into all those different homes?
Because they're waiting for any sign that the birth parent is getting their shit together.
I see.
So what happens is a parent will start a job and go into the court and say, "Okay, look, I'm good. I got a job." And then, "Okay, we'll see you in 30 days." And then they come back and they lost the job. Or they don't show up to come back. Now it starts again. "Okay, no. Now I really am doing it. I got an apartment, blah, blah, blah." And then, okay, so it just keeps kicking the ball downfield.
And every time the kid has to go to a new home because
or stay in the home. In the
I
last
see.
home he was there for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So great. I'm like, wow, he's such a cool kid, and blah, blah, blah. I turn to go back to the table, and Nathan, like he's planning a prison break, is telling the other kids at the table, he's like, "Hey, guys, if you mix blue and red, you get purple." And I'm like, okay, this kid is a total con artist. Like, this is my kid. This is
the
totally my
cutest
kid.
thing.
It was the best. The best. So I've now made connection with him, but I have to fill out this stupid sheet of paper.
Well, what's on the paper?
You have to do 3 kids.
You have to choose 2 other kids.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
But I don't want any other kids.
Yeah, right.
So I walk around. I meet one kid who was like a little old. He was like 10. And he was terrific. He was in it to win it that day. Like, so charming. Like, he was getting adopted that day. So I put him as number 2. His name was London. Great kid. And then some other kid, I kind of remember what he looked like, but I don't remember his name. And I put him as number 3. But on my piece of paper, like literally like a middle school girl diary, I like circled Nathan's name. I put arrows and stars around it. And so I I hung out. I had lunch with Nathan. I made him laugh. I told him jokes. No one had talked to him like he was a kid. What I learned through this process was that foster kids are like professional foster kids. That's what they do for a living. Their entire life is social workers, therapists, court dates, lawyers.
Until they age out.
Yeah, and they don't get to be kids.
Ugh.
So that's like, so I talked to him like a kid. Like, you're in this situation, but you're still a kid. And he was so responsive to that because he didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
So that was great. I left. Got to my car. I burst out crying because, there's a lot of kids there. There were older kids there, 15, 16. They've been to 50 of these. Oh. They know they're not getting picked.
Oh,
the
God.
cute ones get picked.
Oh.
If they're older and they're like, not considered attractive in some way, they know that people are just passing them by. And it was brutal. Obviously, I could not take all the kids. And there were certainly not enough parents, prospective parents, at the fair to take all the kids. And I'm like, I'm literally shaking in my car. What's going to happen to these kids? What's going to happen to them? Anyway, you have to deal with that. You do what you can do.
Yeah.
Is really what happens. I called my social worker. This was a Saturday. I called my social worker and said, I found my kid. You got to get me this kid. That's my kid. I know he's older than I wanted, but I don't care. That's my kid. She said, great. I'll get into it on Monday. She calls me Monday and says, I have bad news. 7 families want Nathan.
Wow.
So I'm like, nothing's easy in life. I said, well, what happens now? She said, well, his social worker has to meet with every one of the family's social worker. So I'll get that. I'm on the list. I'll get the call when I get the call, and I'll go meet with her with your file. She has Nathan's file. We go through, we sit with her boss at social services, and eventually they decide on one that might be a match.
Wow.
And they go ahead with the play dates and whatever.
So you weren't the only one to see how special he was.
And I said, well, how long? And she said, as long as it takes. It's a county agency. It's like going to the DMV 500 times. So whatever. So it was 45 days.
Oh my God.
Till I got the phone call, and she called and said, guess what? They're going to go ahead with a play date with you. They decided you.
Wow. So this kid, he only had met you once. And then 45 days later, like a month and a half later, you get the word that he wants to see you again.
Well, not him, that they have decided. The kid decides nothing.
Oh, I see.
That's one of the worst parts about it.
I see.
But they decided that it was a match for a play date to see how it goes. And we went on a play date.
And do other people go with you, or
the social worker, his social worker. And we went on a play date and had a really great time. And it was terrific. And then I don't know how much he's asked. I do know that he remembers that he was asked, do you want to see that guy again? And he said, sure.
Oh.
That was a lot of fun. Like, it's not a level of like, I really felt a deep connection.
Yeah, of course.
It's just a
They're
little
children.
kid. He's like, yeah, that was fun, And it gets me out of this crappy foster home that I'm in.
Yeah.
So we started having once a week play dates, and then after a while, you go alone.
Where would you take him? To pizza or just
exactly.
movies,
pizza,
golf?
We rode scooters, gun range. No, we rode
yeah, but just stuff.
We went to the beach. We went miniature golf.
Did you do any Hollywood stuff with him?
No.
Yeah, because that's too.
That all blow his mind.
Yeah.
No, it was great. It was great though. He was down in Whittier. There's not a lot of Hollywood stuff down there anyway.
Yeah.
Although the first date was at the miniature golf course down there where they shot Karate Kid. It's a very famous miniature golf course.
That's so cute.
Which, by the way, is completely falling apart. But that was really fun. And then they pick a move-in date and calendar it backwards. So backwards from that move-in date, 2 weeks before, he comes home with me and spends one night. The weekend before, he spends the whole weekend.
Wow.
And the next week, he moves in. So it's all set up to not confuse the kid, like as to what's happening. And so And then, so I met him in October, and he moved in on my birthday, on February 20th, on my birthday.
So how do you prepare?
You know, you're kind of prepared as you're getting licensed. So, I mean, that's just logistically you're prepared. The house is ready. The room is ready. You have figured out a school, a doctor, and you've met certainly some caretakers. You've developed like a team.
Yeah.
So that's done in the licensing. How you prepare emotionally, God only knows. I mean, he got in my house the first night, and I literally was in the next room calling my old girlfriend, and I'm like, what the hell did I do? What do I do? I don't know him. And she was like, well, go know him. Like, go. He's in the couch watching his movie. Go watch a movie with him.
Yeah. Sit with him.
Yeah.
Show him a game or
tickle
a toy
him
or
and
something.
make some popcorn. Like, you know.
Yeah, normal. But when you have a child, like I have one child, you ramp up to all that, right? Because of course the pregnancy and then they start walking.
I ramp it up even more. I mean, I had so many things I wanted to do, and also I was a camp counselor. I was very close uncle to my nephews. I was a big brother. So I kind of knew a bunch of stuff to do.
Yeah.
It was really deep in my heart that we had catching up to do. He didn't have enough of a childhood.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do everything.
Play, yeah.
Yeah, everything. I want to take him to everything. I want to show him everything. He had never seen the beach. He lived 10 miles from the beach. He had never seen snow. He lived, 40 minutes from Wrightwood. Had never seen snow. And so all of that stuff, flying a kite, whatever. I mean, anything you could think of.
And what about his real mom and dad, as it were?
The dad we don't have a lot of contact with. They were never married. And he wanted to see him 2 weeks before parental rights were disbanded. He called the court and asked to see him. And I kind of balked at it because I didn't see the purpose of it. I think it was a last-ditch effort by the mother to like, hey, you got to help me here. You got to stop this. Nathan, to this day, has not told me what was said in that hour they spent together.
So he did show up, the guy showed up.
I have a feeling it was either horrifying to him, what people can be like.
Yeah.
Or, which would be better, but I doubt it, or the father said to him, go make a life. Mm-hmm. But I don't think the father operates on that level.
I wonder if he had other children,
he has, with Nathan's mother, there's 2 other children. Wow. There's 2 sisters who were adopted by Nathan's uncle, by the sister's brother.
Wow.
By the mother's brother. There has adopted both sisters. The mother I knew, we had scheduled play dates with her and the sisters and the uncle and all that until parental rights were taken away.
Yeah.
So it was for about 5 months of him moving in with me. We had once a month go meet in a park with everyone. But she just never got it together. She's not a horrible person, not a big drug addict or anything. It just
wasn't meant to be the mom.
It just wasn't meant to be. And her concept of what being a mom is had nothing to do with reality. Her concept was a playmate.
Yeah.
And I'm a good mom. I gave you dinner.
Yeah.
No idea about sickness and school and doctor's appointments and
sounds like she was like a child herself.
Teaching she was.
Yeah.
I mean, she had him. She was like 16.
Oh my God, Willie, that's wild. So this kid, talk about somebody hitting the jackpot, boy. This kid.
Oh my God, one of my charities was the Aspen Youth Experience in Aspen, one of the charities I work with, and 2 weeks after Nathan moved in with me, we were on a Gulfstream 5. Going from Van Nuys Airport to Aspen
wow.
to stay at the St. Regis Hotel.
Oh my!
One of the finest hotels in the world.
Fanciest hotels.
And this kid's mind was blown left and right.
And so now you got him through elementary school. You get him through junior high school.
Yes.
Here comes high school. Does he start dating? Does he have dates?
Yeah.
Does he want a car? What?
Yeah, all of it. all of
Well,
it.
how do you know what to do?
Well, you just do the right thing. You think about it.
Yeah.
That's, I think, a lot of parents. I've certainly seen some great parents, much better than I, but I've also seen a lot of much worse parents than I. And like, you just think it out. The parents make quick, snap decisions because our lives are busy. You're working, you're dealing with the kid, you're dealing with, maybe you're having issues with your relationships, whatever. And it's just like an afterthought. Like, can you go there? Like, I'm going to be the strict parent. No, you can't go to anything. It's like, well, why?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to be the lenient parent. You can go do whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's these are quick decisions rather than a case by case. So a car, like, okay, I planted it 2 years in advance. I said, when you get your license, you're going to want a car. So what are we going to do about that? Maybe you should work. And I'll tell you this, whatever you make in this time, I will match it.
Aww.
And that's the car that you'll get. So it made him want to get a job.
Yeah.
Well, then there's all the teaching that comes with that, with getting a job.
What was his first job?
Well, he worked at a bunch of like little jobs for people that we knew, but then he really settled into dogs because I'm allergic. So, but he loves dogs. So he had a whole dog walking business going. That was amazing. He had like 3 or 4 families. And then, he did a couple of voiceovers. He did white collar.
How did he do on voiceovers?
Good. I think he did 3.
Like as a kid's voice, as it were.
Yeah, well, he sounded like, he was like, 12 or 13. He sounded like a 10-year-old who had smoked a carton of cigarettes. So he had a really great voice. And then when he got turned 16, he found out about babysitting, which is just like a money factory. Mm-hmm. You can make $20 an hour. Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah. If you're good at it.
Yeah. Well, sure. You just have to have the right families.
Yeah.
You have some families that trust you.
And they trust you and they like you. And that must make you feel good as a father.
Absolutely.
That other people want your son in their kid's presence.
Absolutely. And then he found, because something we could do together was play tennis, and he became like a really good tennis player. So there was a lot of that.
I didn't know you played tennis.
I do.
I play tennis
so there's
too.
a lot of tournaments, a lot of lessons.
Really?
And a lot of tournaments. And then he was partially recruited at college.
That's amazing.
So he plays on NCAA 3 team.
Back in Ohio?
Yep.
And what year is he in there?
He's a freshman.
He's a brand new.
Brand new.
How's it going, college?
It's good.
It's a big adjustment.
It's a big adjustment. But it's good.
Yeah.
It's hard because I was working already as a kid. So I didn't have any teenage stuff.
Yeah.
Because I was surrounded by adults and I was learning lines and going to auditions and, since I was 13. So I didn't go through any teenage anything. I was surrounded by adults all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So just to watch, for me going to college was nothing. It was just an extension of my regular life. But when you start to realize like, no, we really coddle our kids now a lot. So it's really hard to like, okay, now you're responsible for everything.
Everything.
By yourself.
When to go to sleep.
Eating,
when to wake
brushing
up.
your teeth, taking your medicine.
All of it.
All of it.
And then studying.
Laundry.
Yeah.
And go learn.
Does he know what path he wants, or it's way too early?
No, it's early. I mean,
it is.
I see for him something in helping people, but maybe that's just a hopeful father. But he seems to be thinking that he wants to major in psychology and minor in economics. Mm-hmm. So I think I could see him doing business, but maybe a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Well, now he has such a rich history.
He has
I can see him being having a lot of empathy.
Exactly.
And
he has a real sense of justice, of right and wrong.
Yeah.
And what's the right thing to do?
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's what's so upsetting about the world that we're raising them in right now.
Right.
What's the right thing to do? Just do the right thing.
Right. I have to keep telling her over and over, this is not normal. This is the wrong thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's really tricky. And then as for your son as well, because he had 8 years of Obama. So it kind of sailed through that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Where you didn't even know about it.
Well, I wasn't even involved in politics.
Right.
I didn't care.
Right.
How many times did I tweet at Barack Obama?
Right.
0.
Right.
You know what I mean?
No, none of us ever wanted to be this involved in politics. If I wanted to be this involved in politics, I would be a politician.
Yeah.
So,
you could be, I'll bet. Listen, I have to tell you, before we wrap it up, I am very impressed with... I don't know why it impresses me so much. As a single guy, you said, I want a child, and then you met with the appropriate people. I'm just saying a lot of people don't do that. They don't take all those steps.
It was just like, I read an article about all the kids that are available here in Los Angeles, the highest concentration in the country.
Of foster kids.
Of foster kids ready to go, ready to be adopted.
Yeah.
And I thought, I was in love with someone for a long time, and she never wanted to have kids, which is fine. And it was never going to happen.
Was she an actress?
She had been a model. And, like many people, she had decided that she didn't want to have kids.
Sure.
And now we're in our 40s and blah, blah, blah. And it was like, okay. And when I really finally realized that this was never going to happen, and that was over, I was like, I really want a kid. So is that such a big deal? I don't hear about
I think
a lot
it's
of
beautiful.
Single fathers,
Yeah.
Doing it, but it was no issue. No one cared.
Yeah.
They don't care. There's more kids than parents.
Sure.
So no one cared.
Well, I just think it's selfless, and it's and you do have such a well-rounded history. You have so much that you've done, and so many places you've been. You have a lot to give.
Right, and this is the best thing I've done.
I'm so happy for you.
I mean, it's better than Mr. Belvedere.
Well, I am just so happy you sat down with me.
Well, thank you for having me.
It's a great story.
I hope people listen.
It's just beautiful. Yeah, let's hope we can get some kids adopted out of this show today. Why not?
The one thing, just to that as a final thing, people, when they think about adoption, as I know many people do, and then there's something they hear or something like just puts up a red flag, and they're like, okay, then I can't do that. And my social worker told me that I taught her something because I was the first one that she'd ever had that was like this. And what I taught her was, just tell me what to do next. Don't worry. I don't want to hear the laundry list of all the things that could happen. And people, they think about adoption. They're like, oh my God, and what doctor will I have? And what school would they go to? And how will I pay for childcare? And it's like, just take one day at a time, literally. If you tell me I have to get my car inspected tomorrow, that's the next step of the adoption.
I'll do that.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
When I hand you that sheet of paper, then give me the next task.
Yeah.
Because it's just overwhelming. You just work it out.
Yeah.
You just work it out.
I think
like
it's
any
beautiful.
parent.
Just beautiful.
And the other thing, I'll say really finally, I did mine through a public agency, nonprofit, because in California, he's a ward of the state, technically, till he's 21.
Wow.
So he gets a check every month. Because I have a swimming pool, my only cost for the entire adoption was to put up a pool fence. Wow. It was free. People think, oh, it's $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. It was all free. And if he didn't go, I mean, I'm a rich actor, so that's whatever. But if he didn't go to a fancy private school, I could have totally raised him on the check that they send every month.
Wow.
It's a tax-free check.
Yeah.
Governor Schwarzenegger extended it from 18 to 21, which is a big deal.
Yeah.
And it's a great thing.
I know we got to wrap it up, but it does not sort of, it puts a little bit of a fear in me that there could be like people who just want like foster kids, or they just want the check.
There's a lot more foster where that happens. Like his last foster house, she had 6 kids, always. Never adopted any of them. She was running a business.
Yeah.
She's serving them ramen noodles. They're sleeping on filthy couches.
Yeah.
And she's living like, Queen Elizabeth. It actually was Queen Elizabeth. It's unbelievable that she is getting away with this for 90 years. She's been the monarch. But when it comes to
adoption, that's not the way it goes down.
No, because you're vetted so hard.
Yeah.
Like for adoption.
Yeah. Well, you are like the poster child of adoptive fathers.
I'm a poster child for many things. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Willie. I really appreciate it. All right,
My
you guys,
pleasure.
I got to wrap it up. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. Find Willie over there on Twitter at Willie Garson and also on Instagram at willie.garson. And you can find me over there as well at Storyworthy. All right, you guys, I want to thank the sponsors one more time on the show today. Thank you so much for checking out my sponsors, because you know that when you check out my sponsors, you are supporting me, and I appreciate it. And on behalf, one more time, of the very talented Willie Garson, thank you, sir.
You are very welcome. Thank you for having me.
My name is Christine Blackburn, saying, make it a story-worthy week.
Thanks for joining us on the Storyworthy Podcast. We'll be back next week with all new stories. Subscribe to Storyworthy on iTunes and visit the Storyworthy website at storyworthypodcast.com.
Caregivers, are you and the person you care for not satisfied with your current home care agency? Then you need to call Help at Home, as we offer the highest paid wages, weekly pay, overtime pay, benefits, and do not forget paid time off. Help at Home is actively recruiting caregivers who are caring for a loved one. We make changing agencies quick and easy. Call one of our care professionals now at 412-784-6711. That's 412-784-6711, or go to helpathomepA.com.
Membership fees apply after free trial. Cancel anytime.
Hi, it's Carl Deichler, CEO of Beachbody, and I'm giving away 10,000 free memberships a week to try our amazing Beachbody fitness and nutrition programs. Pick any program and just follow it step by step, like our 21-Day Fix program or the Ab Shredding Muscle Burns Fat program. Plus, there's free support in personalized fitness groups with our community of over 2 million members. Now is the time, so don't wait. Go to beachbody.com to claim your free membership and start feeling great.